We're going to call the regular city council meeting to order at this time. Lena, could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Lainez.
Here.
Councilmember Ribur.
Here.
And Mayor Guimada.
Here. And just for the record, our vice mayor and council member Garcia will not be available this evening due to other commitments this evening. So just for your information, thank you. We're going to move to Pledge of Allegiance. Could we have everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance by Acting Director, Economic Development and Planning, Morales. And please remain standing for the invocation by myself. Thank you.
Please face the flag, right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, as we gather for this city council meeting, let's reflect on the importance of our work. We carry a responsibility to serve and represent everyone in our city. Let's approach our discussions with open minds, listen with compassion, and act with integrity. In unity, let's find common ground, embracing our differences as strengths. Together, we can create solutions that benefit all members of our community. May our efforts tonight help build a city where every resident can thrive with safety, prosperity, and quality of life for all. Thank you for your dedication. Let's proceed with wisdom and collaboration for a brighter future. We ask this in your name. Amen. Thank you all. And at this time, we're going to move to appearances and presentations. And first item on our agenda is a certificate of recognition for the Commerce Evening Lions Club for their contributions and outstanding volunteerism. And that would be item number 1.
Mayor
Please.
Argumedo, members of the council, Ed Salcedo, Social Service Coordinator. The Social Services Division of the Library Department would like to thank and recognize the Commerce Evening Lions Club for the donation of 66 11-pound hams to the food distribution program. Program participants of all ages were pleasantly surprised at this donation, and they were super grateful. And these hams were a hit as they were distributed on May 21st during our monthly food distribution. This benevolent gesture by the Commerce Evening Lions Club put smiles on people's faces. Thank you. And also help place food in 66 families' homes. What a wonderful event this was, and we were very excited, and our food program participants were also. So once again, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salcido, for your brief presentation. Appreciate it. I know I've had the opportunity. I too am a member of the Lions Club, and I'm proud to be a member, but I'm even more proud to be able to present this recognition this evening for the significant contributions that the members of the Lions Club throughout the years have participated in, have really done an outstanding job in representing not only our community, but also helping in other areas, other cities, and more recently we had a cleanup here that they were involved in, the Lions, myself, and others, in cleaning up the entrance to the I-710 heading north. And, they showed up, they were there, along with other members of the community and some other members of our business community. But again, they tend to stand up and represent not only the City of Commerce, but all of us as a community, and they're always there to help one another. So I'm honored to be able to present the certificate this evening. Let me go ahead and read it for all of you, and then I'll ask you all to please come up and we'll make a brief presentation with a photo op right in front of the diocese here. The City of Commerce recognizes the Commerce Evening Lions Club in acknowledgement of the exceptional contributions, outstanding volunteerism, unwavering dedication, and significant impact on our community demonstrated by the Commerce Evening Lions Club. Commerce Evening Lions Club has consistently exhibited a profound commitment to serving the community, embodying the core values of compassion, generosity, and civic responsibility. Through tireless efforts and selfless dedication, the members of the Evening Lions Club have made a meaningful difference in the lives of countless individuals in our community. Recently, the Evening Lions Club demonstrated their commitment by donating 66 hams to the food distribution program. This act of kindness and generosity has demonstrated the club's deep compassion and concern for the well-being of others. On behalf of the Commerce City Council and the entire community, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to the Commerce Evening Lions Club for their remarkable service and dedication. Your exemplary leadership, philanthropy, and unwavering support have enriched our community and inspired others to join the noble pursuit of service to humanity. Presented June 25th, 2024, signed Mayor Hugo Argumedo, and also it has the insignia of each of our members of the City Council. And thank you, and I'd like to ask my colleagues if they would like to make some remarks, and then we'll have you come up for a brief photo presentation, okay?
Thank you again. I know the Lions Club is a long-standing club here in the City of Commerce. I remember them when I was a kid, so thank you for the contributions that you've made to the City of Commerce. And to every single one of you, thank you again. Volunteering your time is priceless. The gift of time is priceless. So I know it takes a lot of time to do what you do. So thank you again for investing in our community the way you do. Thank you.
Thank you all for all of the public service that you do within our community and also throughout the region. I know there's several programs, and there's I think you have like a writing or a reading program. I think there's food pantries that you contribute to. There's several things that you do for the community and for our people that really doesn't go unnoticed. So I really do want to thank the Lions Club for everything that you do. As my colleague just mentioned, time is something that you can't own, right? Time is precious, time is limited. So for you all to really take your time, personal time, and invest that in the community, that's something that not everybody is willing to do. So I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do for our city. And this commendation is really just a small token of appreciation for everything that you do. So thank you.
Please come on up and we'll make the presentation. Thank you. Oh, we have to wait. We don't have to. Okay. Okay, we're going to continue on with our meeting. Lena, I just heard you indicate we have no public comment. Public comment cards. Thank you. So we'll close public comment and we'll move to consent calendar. And that would be items, let's see, 2 through 12. Is there any items wishing to be pulled? If not, we have one. City manager.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Member City Council, staff would like to continue item 11 to the next meeting, or to a future meeting.
Item number 11. All right. Any other items? No other items? There being none, a motion would be in order to approve the remaining items.
So moved.
We have motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have motion and a second, and if there's no objections, this item passes. Thank you. We'll move to scheduled matters. Item number 13, Sergeant Duarte.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I will be providing an update regarding public safety in the City of Commerce. On the first slide, you will see Part 1 crimes from January to June 25th. We have a total of 4 aggravated assaults. We had 6 robberies, 5 burglaries. We had 51 other thefts. We had 11 auto thefts and 1 arson. On the next slide, we're going to go from June 1st through June 22nd. For the City of Commerce, we had 4 assaults, 6 robberies, 5 burglaries, 51 other thefts, 11 auto thefts, and 1 arson. And I'm going to break those down a little bit further. So we had 6 robberies, 4 of them were armed robberies, 2 were force or fear. We had the 5 burglaries, which were other, 2 were during the nighttime, 3 were during the day. We had 51 thefts, 19 were grand theft, which means greater than $950. 11 were from vehicles, 21 were petty thefts, which is less than $950. That's a little more breakdown of the crimes. On the next slide, you will see a heat map of the crimes that happened in the City of Commerce. Same as previously, the yellow and darker red is the more dense area. As you could see, it's still the same locations, the Commerce Center and the Citadel. This time, the day of the week that was busiest was on Saturdays, and the time of days was going to be about 5 p.m., the reported crimes. Okay. On the next slide, I will go through some commerce activities. On June 12, 2024, deputies went in pursuit of a stolen truck, which was captured on automated license plate reader cameras. The suspect evaded arrest, but the vehicle was recovered by Southgate PD. Deputies, along with social worker Ed Salcido and Ocean Blue, conducted cleanups of numerous encampments throughout the city of Commerce. Code enforcement, along with deputies, addressed taco vendor located on Cowlin and Washington Boulevard. On June 13, Public Safety Manager Justin Edson, Dispatcher Ortega, and I participated in quarterly Transportation Department safety meeting regarding de-escalation and safety tips. We also attended Rosewood Neighborhood Watch meeting on Bartmus and Leo Avenue. On June 14, Commerce deputies participated in the summer kickoff and color run. On June 16, Commerce deputies were involved in a stolen vehicle pursuit from the automated license plate reader cameras. The suspect collided with other civilian vehicles. One suspect was arrested for evading and driving a vehicle without owner's consent. On June 17, attended Public Safety Commission meeting. June 18, Public Works and Commerce deputies conducted cleanup of Eastern and Randolph, numerous shopping carts. On June 19, Public Works and Commerce deputies cleaned the following locations: Union Pacific, cross of Gerhardt, 1000 Gerhardt Avenue, alleyway behind Gerhardt, and I'll have some pictures further down the presentation. On June 19, Blue District distributors hosted our first business watch at 6223 Randolph Street, along with Commerce Public Safety, Code Enforcement, LASD, and Commerce Business Council. On June 20th, Public Works and deputies conducted a cleanup of Slauson Avenue, cross of Gage. Deputies addressed parking issues on Watcher and Greenwood. 2 vehicles were impounded for expired registration over 6 months. 2 other vehicles were issued citations for expired registration. On June 21st, deputies assisted Narco with a search warrant regarding a dispensary operation on Union Pacific. 2 individuals were arrested for operating the illegal dispensary. Commerce deputies participated with street racing kills at the teen center to discuss traffic safety. On June 25th, Public Works and deputies cleaned up Triggs Avenue. On the next slide, you will see some of the pictures from all the activities that I just mentioned, that we worked together with Public Works, Code Enforcement, and Public Safety. You'll see that additionally, we were able to remove the graffiti that was on the walls with our graffiti removal program and Public Works. From June 1st to date, Commerce had a total of 12 felony arrests, 17 misdemeanor arrests. Most important, fireworks. Yes, 4th of July is around the corner. We want to remind people fireworks information. The City of Commerce allows the use and possession of safe and sane fireworks approved by the State Fire Marshal during the following dates and time: June 28th through July 5th, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. July 4th only, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Examples of these are sparklers, fountains, smoke bomb, and there's a fire seal that I put a picture that you should be looking for. Dangerous fireworks are prohibited. On June 11th, the City Council approved an urgency ordinance to address dangerous fireworks by adding Chapter 16.05. Examples include skyrockets, firecrackers, Roman candles, and aerial shells. Loud explosions are harmful to pets and create triggers for those with PTSD and are combat veterans. These dangerous fireworks pose a safety and fire concern by starting fires and gravely injuring people. Let's stay safe and stick to safe and sane. How to report dangerous fireworks. You could contact East LA Station 323-264-4151 and or report online reporting, which I included the website. And all the information that's going to request is the location, the date and time, and the description. Please participate in the Independence Day celebration of the city and avoid getting a citation for having illegal fireworks. That concludes my presentation, if I have any questions.
Thank you, Sergeant. Is there any questions, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just thank you. We've seen the signs around the city. I've definitely heard less big booms around the neighborhood. There's isolated ones, but I do appreciate that we are taking these matters very serious, and I think the community is understanding that we're taking it very serious because I don't know about you guys, but I've heard less. There's still some isolated ones, but definitely heard less of the obnoxious type of fireworks. So thank you again. And maybe we can meet. You don't have to answer it now, but I was wondering about Gerhardt. Is it Gerhardt? Right by the shopping center. Are both sides Commerce?
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted to discuss those streets, but we don't have to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Linus?
Sergeant, thank you for the report. I also have heard less fireworks, but hopefully that sustains. I did see a reader on Commerce Way. Do you know the other locations that the readers are placed? Not sure if you would know that or if that's a question for our staff.
That would actually be our public safety manager.
Okay.
Good evening, council. We have one here at Commerce Way, another one on Atlantic near the Bandini neighborhood, and then we just deployed one a few days ago down in Vets at Greenwood and Watcher, and we're getting the fourth one out. It had to be replaced with the glass, so we're going to be getting that one out to Bristow.
Okay. So there will be one in each of our
Correct.
different neighborhoods?
Yes.
Okay, great. That was my key question. My other question is, for the sergeant, whenever you do these presentation, you show us statistics and heat maps, and so from a process standpoint, could you help me understand how often you modify your deployment strategies? I just want to make sure that we're reacting to the data that we're seeing, right, and making sure that we're doing everything that we can from a deployment standpoint and vehicle positioning that we can, just to make sure that we're maximizing our coverage.
So the heat map is actually shared with deputy personnel, and it shows them exactly where the crimes are occurring. So we ask them, obviously, hey, these are the areas that are concerned because they're getting burglarized. These are the times. So that's how we notify the deputies of what's going on in the city.
Is there a checks and balance that you do, however, to make sure that they are actually patrolling those areas or positioned in those areas?
Yes, I could follow up. There's daily worksheets. That's how I'm able to document and see where they documented their patrol checks and what they did during their shift.
Okay, and is that location data like automated? Are they writing that in, or how does that work?
It's through the MDC, it's through the computer.
Okay, so it's through a tracker.
Yes.
Okay, those are my questions. Thank you, Sergeant.
You're
Thank you. And just wanted to comment on your report also. Thank you for the great teamwork that you all seem to be doing. I love the you guys addressing a lot of the cleanups that you're working on. I think they're very important throughout our community. I think the more we stay on top of them, I think the better our community will look in the long run. So I appreciate you guys being out there and doing them on a regular basis. Hopefully we can, put additional resources to try to make it hopefully a little more effective, wherever we can try to augment and help with those areas. I think it would be good. And I know that I was just having a discussion earlier with our city manager, and it was more related to the on-ramps and off-ramps in our city, working on some schedules related to that and how we can try to improve in those areas. Because again, these are the areas where people come and visit our city, and those are the first things that they see. And I think it's important that they see that this community is well maintained, well cleaned up, and we want them to have a good first impression of our community. So, but thank you. I really appreciate your report. I think it's great. I like the additional information you're providing, which I think is very helpful. Just as follow-up, I'd like to get a report maybe on the two big centers that we have, of course, the Citadel and our shopping center, in East LA. I'd like to know what they're doing. I know a little bit about the Citadel. I'm not sure what we're doing with regards to the shopping center over on Whittier. What I'd like to know is, do they have security cameras in place? Do they have? I see some security that drives around. I've seen them. But I'm wondering if they have a central monitoring station and if they are able to deploy. In other words, being proactive. If you have a monitoring system and you see somebody that looks suspicious, that's acting, hey, looking around in cars and that sort of stuff, if you spot it and if you're monitoring, maybe you can deploy somebody out there to do a meet and greet kind of thing, Hi there, how can we help you? That sort of thing. It might help in avoiding some of these kinds of problems before they become a problem, So I'm hoping that we can provide additional information. That seems to be the big areas that tend to have the problems, of course. They're the big targets, in essence. And I would like for us to certainly focus on how we can better provide better coverage in those particular areas. Kind of a follow-up to what was just asked, but more specifically I'd like to know more about how they work, how they're organized over there, and how they work with our sheriff's department and potentially our CSOs, if there's collaboration between all the different organizations working on all these things. That was it. But again, thank you all. I really appreciate your reporting. I appreciate the work that you're all doing together, working together. And hopefully we can continue to expand on that and get some good results. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and now we have item number 14, which would be a letter of opposition for Assembly Bill 2986. That would be Wendy Carrillo for a local agency formation commission for the County of Los Angeles, East Los Angeles Task Force. City Manager, you have a report on this?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Member City Council. Assembly Bill 2986, authored by Assemblymember Carrillo, is a feasibility study that would look at incorporation of East LA. And the concerns to the City of Commerce are that it is not very clear as far as what the impacts to the City of Commerce are. The bill narrative suggests that East LA lost economic will with lands that were taken by the City of Commerce, is one example, specifically the Commerce Center on Whittier Boulevard, right, and then Monterey Park properties. So that part of the bill is not clear as to what is the ultimate goal with regards to, as the bill suggests, property or land that East LA lost, right? As you know, the city, during its incorporation 60 years ago, went through a full analysis and was really, the incorporation was driven by business owners and residents that looked at all of this and decided what to put forward to the county. And so this letter of opposition will be sent to the, I'm trying to get the acronym correct, the Local Agency Formation Commission for the County of Los Angeles, who is the jurisdiction that looks at requests such as these. And that concludes my
thank you.
report. Back and answer any questions.
Thank you. So at this time, the recommendation is basically a letter of opposition to this bill.
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we do have a public comment card that was just submitted. Kimberly Ortega, please come on up.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Kimberly Ortega. I serve as the Communications Director for Supervisor Solis. One, I just want to thank you all for taking this item up. Two, express that we miss representing the City of Commerce. It's been a change, but you guys are doing incredible things. So on behalf of the supervisor, I just want to thank the City of Commerce for taking a stance on opposing AB 2986, a bill authored by Assemblymember Wendy Carrillo, now before the State Senate, to assess the economic viability of incorporating East Los Angeles. Its proponents call it just a study, but this study will cost taxpayers nearly $6 million and put union jobs at risk. Supervisor Solis is deeply concerned about the disingenuous narrative espoused by the proponents of this bill around decades-old annexations and the disempowerment of East Los Angeles at the hands of neighboring cities. Further, she does not believe that East LA incorporation should happen at the expense of other cities such as Commerce, whose boundaries have been determined through the official procedures determined by the state of California. The proponents of AB 2986 contend that East LA has been torn apart by the annexation of commercial assets such as the Commerce Center into the City of Commerce. That is an offensive narrative that ignores the hard work of volunteers, residents, and business leaders in Commerce who set out in 1959 to incorporate the City of Commerce as the 67th city in LA County. Proponents of the bill seem to suggest that incorporation would enable East LA to capture territory from Commerce and neighboring cities to bolster its own tax base. AB 2986 also completely bypasses the local agency formation commission within the County of LA's signature collection process. Instead of being a grassroots campaign, it ignored the community and unions to create a task force that will decide on their own future of East LA rather than the people and business owners who live and work there. Again, we thank you for taking up this matter, and we hope that you will vote in favor of it.
Thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate you coming up. Please extend our sincere best wishes to our Supervisor, Hilda Solis. We appreciated her representing our city, of course, and we thank her. Thank you for your comments. Okay, if there's no additional comments or questions on this item, a motion would be in order, and I believe once again, our city manager is recommending a letter of opposition to this bill.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve a letter of opposition to this bill. And, just for the record, I had the opportunity to speak to Ms. Carrillo, and it's really disappointing that the writing's on the wall, right, as it states on this bill, but it's a disrespect to this body and to myself to lie to my face when the writing's on the wall. So I would definitely move on the opposition to this bill.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a section, and if there's no objections, so ordered. Okay, we'll move to item number 15, and that would be the award construction contract to Superb Engineering, Inc. for the Garfield Avenue Median Improvement Project. Who will be presenting? Tina?
Mayor, council members, good evening. Before you this evening is a resolution to award a construction contract to Superb Engineering for the Garfield Median Improvements Project, and I have a very brief presentation. The highlights that I just want to go over is that it's grant funded. So we got a grant in the amount of just over 2.3 million from the Clean California Local Grant Program Cycle 2. The Cycle 1 grant that we received is for the Pathways for Hope project. So this is the second grant that we received from this particular funding source. The design of drought-tolerant landscaping was done by Lost West, who also did the Eastern Avenue and Commerce Way medians, recently completed. The city received 3 bids and is recommending Superb Engineering this evening for a total project cost of, I'm glad to say, below our actual grant amount, so just over $2 million. The project limits are just under 3 miles, 2.6, which is going to take us from city limit to city limit from Ferguson Drive to just south of Gage Avenue. Eastern Avenue is one of the designs that Lost West did, which would be similar to what we're going to do on Garfield. It was designed at the same time by Lost West, so we already had the plans done and ready to execute. Commerce Way was the other median island that we did, and that concludes a very brief report. Staff recommends at this time adopting a resolution as described in the staff report to approve this award.
Is there any comments or questions? Councilmember Linus?
Gina, thank you for the presentation. Is there plans to put up lighting on the medians, similar to what we did on Eastern Commerce
Well,
Way?
There are, however, we may need to modify that. As you are aware, the others that were installed in the other median projects were removed, stolen. And so we have considered for future projects maybe doing where we can lighting up on a palm tree or some other tree that's away from theft that could be easily reachable on the ground.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's unfortunate, right? Because it
Yeah.
looks gorgeous at night with the lights, but as you know, they got taken from Eastern and Commerce Way, and so if we're planning to add some lighting to these medians, it should be done in a way where they're protected in some way, or just a different implementation, right? To
Yes.
prevent the theft.
Yes.
I like the lighting, but at the same time, like if it's only going to be up there for a couple of weeks, it's not, it's not fiscally responsible, right?
Yes.
So I think that's the only consideration that I would ask you to make, right? If we are going to
Certainly.
incorporate lighting, just making sure that we do it in a way that isn't conducive to theft, right? That's the other thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is just making sure that when we implement these medians or implement these features with new landscaping, that we are consistently monitoring and just making sure that the trees are alive, right? That they're clean, because at some point we'll plant like 10 trees and maybe one's just not making it, and we should probably figure out a way to remove it or save it, or but just making sure that we're keeping up with that maintenance to make sure that they continue to look great.
Okay.
Those are my comments. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. And just out of curiosity, is there a new technology available that would prohibit from the theft, or based on the materials that folks are looking for? And I believe they're looking for the metal, the copper maybe, that
Yeah,
they're looking to take,
we've
right?
gone so far on another project where we had copper stolen on Washington Boulevard, and we went so far as to seal the vaults, and we might have to do some sort of creative sealing around these light fixtures if we're not able to have the types of treescape that we could mount something to. Like a palm tree is easy. They've got these circular lights. You can mount them up high. No one's going to climb the palm tree to get this light fixture.
Don't give them
But-
any ideas now.
Yeah, exactly. Knock on wood.
No, but it does also take away from the aesthetics, the beauty of the fact that you have it on the ground and it shines up, and it just increases it makes it beautiful. But yeah, hopefully you guys can come up with something. I think that would be great. So thank you. If there's no additional comments or questions, a motion to approve the recommendation, and it's items 1 through 6 as outlined in our report.
Mayor, I'll move to approve items 1 through 6 as outlined in the staff report.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, and if there's no objections, so ordered. All right, we'll move to item number 16. A resolution approving an agreement with the County of LA, Los Angeles Probation Department for fiscal year 2024-2025. Justin, sir.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. Tonight, I'll be discussing the proposed agreement with Los Angeles County Probation Department for fiscal year 24 to 25. So just an overview, the City of Commerce is maintaining an agreement with the Probation Department since 1987. The existing agreement expires June 30th, and the new agreement will be for this coming fiscal year through next June. And the agreement would involve the city contributing 50% of the personnel costs for the deputy probation officer that would be assigned to the City of Commerce. The services provided by the deputy probation officer would include managing caseload and supervision and coordination that conforms to the prevention and intervention program. coordinate services and resources with school administrators, law enforcement, and community providers. They'd also coordinate with law enforcement to assist with juvenile crime reduction strategies, provide supervision of adult and juvenile probationers, monitor and enforce conditions of probation, and maintain awareness of gang and criminal activity. The operational benefits for this would include having a DPO that has access to additional databases, information resources that would assist our sheriff deputies, law enforcement with the activities and the probationers that would be within the city limits. This DPO would be assigned to City Hall for 20 hours a week. They would have an office here in City Hall. They would do field work in coordination with law enforcement. And then currently, why we approved the last short agreement from February to June was for them to begin the recruitment process to hire and assign a DPO to us. And so that, from my understanding, they have found somebody that they would like to select. And now this fiscal year agreement would allow us to bring them on board and get them started with the City of Commerce. So staff's recommendation is to approve the agreement with the County of Los Angeles Probation Department for fiscal year 2024 through 2025. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Justin. Any comments, questions?
I have a question.
Councilmember Rebollo?
And this is just for just clarity and for me just to know, right? Because I'm not within your department, so I don't know what the differences are. But I wanted to know what are some of the biggest benefits to having the probation officer there. I know that we approved the contract. Was it last year when this came to us? Correct?
February of this year.
It was February.
Yes.
So what are we doing here? We're just extending it more?
Yeah, so what occurred was we were for several years on a agreement basis from September to September. It was a little
Okay.
off of the fiscal year. So it had previously expired. So I came back in February just to extend it to the end of fiscal year.
Mhm.
And that would allow them, because the previous probation officer that was assigned to the city, I believe, had medical retirement.
Mhm.
And so they need to select somebody new. So that extension in February
Got it.
was just to allow them the time to recruit internally. And then this is going to actually set us on a fiscal year basis.
Is there a way to see kind of like the work that they've done so far, like what that looks like in the City of Commerce? I guess I want to really understand what are the exact benefits that we get from having the probation officer here. Again, because I'm not in the department, right, and I don't see what happens on a day-to-day basis. I maybe if you can maybe send me something after. I just want to see what's the work that they've been doing, and what that looks like here in the City of Commerce, just so that I can know. Because I don't know exactly what a probation officer does. And I know before we used to have, I think, like independent studies. We don't have that here anymore. So are they like going out on the field? Are they going, knocking on homes? How are they doing the check-ins, right? So if you could just get me that.
I think for the benefit of the entire city council, this could be incorporated into our regular reporting of our public safety programs to include the sheriffs. But it's an investment by the city council, and you want results. I get that.
Thank you for the comments. Are you okay with that? Yeah. Let me just follow up on, did you have any comments, council member? Let me just follow up on that question, and if you don't mind outlining some of the things that they do currently. In other words, I believe there's certain individuals that are released, right, in our community that are now, have offenses, but now they're on probation. And I believe those individuals need to report to a probation officer.
Correct.
And in those cases that they fall within our city, then technically they would be reporting to our probation officer. Is that correct?
I wouldn't know exactly if they'd be assigned to that. The probation officer that would be assigned to us would be aware of those cases.
Okay.
I can't speak to if they would be directly the case worker for that, but they would be aware of every probationer that lives or occupies in the City of Commerce, and they would work with whoever is in charge of that probationer.
Could we get Sergeant to come up, please? I think, and I'm asking her to come up only because I know you probably know a little bit more of what it entails, and I want you, for the benefit of the public and for the benefit of those watching us on cable, so they can get an understanding of what the roles and responsibilities are of probation officer. And I used to sit on a committee before here in the city that we had years ago, and we would meet, and part of the individual that would sit in those meetings was our assigned probation officer. And based on the discussions that were being had, sometimes it would get, hey, we're having a problem over here. Can you please follow up? Can you? And they would then, look to see who in that area or anybody that could potentially fall under their jurisdiction. They would make, visits, cold calls, where they would drop in and make sure they were in compliance and things like that. So I'd like to know a little bit about that position, just for the benefit of everybody here now.
So the last probation officer that we had was Officer Granados. He was a probation officer. He would go out in the field. He kept 3 different folders. There's 3 different categories, obviously adult probation with search conditions, adult probation with no search conditions, AB 109, which means instead of spending your time incarcerated, you get to come out, but you still have search conditions. So he has 3 folders. He would print out their criminal history, who their probation officer were, what their terms of probation were. So he would provide that information to us, so we knew who the probationer were, who he resides with, and who his probationer officer is, because it's not going to be the probation officer that's here in Commerce that oversees that probationer, but he'll be able to direct us who's the probation officer that oversees this person. He additionally is able to go out with us when we do probation compliance checks, which makes it a lot easier for him to get access, because he already knows most of the probationers. So he'll go out there we'll do door knocks, we'll do probation compliance checks, we do randomly. Even though if they check with their probation officer, we're still able to conduct probation compliance checks on their residents.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that information, and hopefully that helps. I think each of us hearing some of that, I think it at least helps us understand it a little bit better. And I like the comment that was made by our city manager, basically indicating it's part of a report where we would get, and that way we get a report on the activities that are being done by our probation officer. Thank you. Appreciate both of you. Appreciate the report. Council, and at this time, if there's no additional comments or questions, a motion would be in order to approve the staff recommendation. Staff recommendation, which would be the city council will consider resolution approving an agreement with the County of Los Angeles Probation Department for fiscal year 24-25.
Mayor, I'll move to approve the agreement with the County of Los Angeles with the caveat that we'll begin to receive a monthly report or a report every city council meeting, along with our public safety presentation.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Councilman, is there a second? We have a motion and a second, and if there's no objection, so ordered. Thank you. Motion passes. Item number 18, resolution. Sorry, I'm losing my place here. Here we go. Right, just pass this one. Hold on. It's 17, sorry. I'm saying 18. It's item number 17, and that would be a resolution authorizing the continuing of operations into fiscal year 2024 through 25 at the amended fiscal year 2023-24 appropriation levels with contractually required adjustments. All right, we'll be presenting.
Okay. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, council members. The item before you is related to the fiscal year 24-25 budget. Is primarily the first phase. If you recall, this is going to mirror something like we did a couple of years ago when council's members Lainez and Garcia were elected late in the fiscal year. So similarity is that we brought on our new city manager here late in the fiscal year. So we're going to give not only him, but all the departments and the city council an opportunity to immerse themselves over the next couple of months, go through the budget, go through like a normal process through the months of July and August, and then come back to the city council sometime in September with a full-fledged presentation. So what we're asking city council tonight is, as you stated, Mayor, is just to approve the continuing of operations until we get to that point in September. And that would be the original 23-24 budget that was adopted, and any amendments that were taking place. Majority, if not the heaviest lift of those amendments, were related to the class and comp study that the city council approved, and then of course the 4% wage increase, the first of 3 that'll take place over the next 2 years, and any additional positions that were approved last September of 23. The budget also includes adjustments for any contractual obligations that we have, so public safety, both fire and sheriffs, public works contracts, for example, like the refuse, utilities, and our liability insurance or workers' comp make up that component. So to give you an idea where we are today with all those inclusions, that gives you kind of a summary by department. So you're going from about $64 million adopted budget in the current fiscal year. Of course, that didn't include the additional work that was done then in September. But now you're looking at a proposed budget of just over 70 million, with the preliminary ongoing revenue projected for this year, or next year, I should say. You're looking at a preliminary surplus of almost $5 million. Just to give you a graphic presentation, I know how visual some council members are, to give you a nice display of what pie chart pieces look like per department. And then budget appropriations, other funds, these are the non-general fund funds, and there is no movement whatsoever at this point in time. These are status quo, with the difference only being under the community center debt service and pension obligation bonds. Those have slightly been modified to address the principal interest that we'll be paying in the upcoming year for those two debts, and the transportation amount being modified to include any wage and benefit increases. Along with that, we also, actually, this item will be going before the Measure AA committee tomorrow night. They will have an opportunity to review the capital improvement program. And then Gina will come back before the city council at the second meeting in July for city council review, discretion, and approval. So what we're doing is recommending adopting the status quo budget as presented. The preliminary surplus of revenue projections, of course, could be modified during the next couple of months before we do the budget revisit for you in September. And like I said, at that point in time, you will be given a full cadre of items that you'll be able to, make a good educated judgment on. In those 2 months, to the discretion of the city manager, we could set up some budget workshops and meet with all of you either as a whole or go through a 2-2-1 process. So that concludes my presentation for this evening. If you have any questions or comments, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Bilko. Is there any comments or questions, Council?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Councilmember
Mayor.
Rebollo?
I do have 3 requests as it relates to the budget, since we are presenting trying to present a status quo. I know that we've been having the conversation of cultural enrichment trips for our travel teams, and I know that we talked about equity across the board and establishing some guidelines. So I would like for us to approve a budget to start the dialogue and start the conversation as we move. And obviously, our sports seasons are 24. All year round. So I think I would like to see at least 75,000 so that we can start the conversation, and then obviously set guidelines as to how we disperse the funds, and so that's one. Number two, yesterday I had the opportunity with the city manager to sit with one of the presidents of the Special Olympics, who I've been having dialogue for a little over a year now. They've expressed interest in the City of Commerce as they look into bringing Special Olympic teams to the Southeast LA region. And through my work in the field of special education, this is how I met one of the directors there and one of the board members. So we were able to have this dialogue and to have the opportunity to bring that to the City of Commerce and to really be the champions for bringing this to the region. And I'm really excited for this opportunity. But obviously with that comes the, a price tag. So Mr. City Manager, is there roughly like a...
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, post our meeting yesterday, met with the recreation staff, and similar programs are approximately about $14K a year. As far as if you wanted to put a number to us implementing a program like this in the spring.
Okay.
That would be a budget to consider. Obviously, as Mr. Domek said, these are budgets, right? A budget is a plan. We can come back and assess, and you can make modifications as necessary.
So would you say about 15,000?
Yeah.
Roughly? Okay. Okay. And then also, I don't know if within the budget, and Mr. Marquez is here, but I did want to see more classes at the senior center. I know they've been having those conversations with us about bringing back watercolors. Is that service back at the senior center? And if not, we can move on.
What specific class?
Watercoloring and believe
Yeah,
they
so
said-
our the person who would instruct the watercolor class was promoted to a senior recreation leader, working out of the teen center and having a large crowd there. And so we have had conversations to train other instructors, or in hopes of maybe bringing in an additional instructor for that.
Okay, so would it be appropriate, Mr. City Manager, to...
I think that just giving us direction to re-implement that program is enough. As far as the manipulation of the recreation budget, I think that we're okay.
Okay, thank you. And then lastly, so it's 4, sorry, I said 3. Lastly, I know we had talked about this fiscal year to add on one more assistant coach. And I don't know, to the water polo program, and I don't know if it was for water polo or for volleyball. Does anybody recall? There was a need for an assistant coach.
I believe the conversation that was had was for water polo.
Okay, so then I would like to also add that into the budget as well. That's it for
As
me,
a
thank you.
full-time?
Not full-time, no, assistant coach, those are part-time positions.
Part-time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the parks are fully staffed at this point? I remember we had talked about the need for one more center supervisor.
Yes, there's actually recruitment.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Rebollo. Councilmember Linus.
Thank you, Mayor. So based on your report, Vilco, it looks like we will have a projected surplus of $5 million at the end of this year. Are those our current reserves, or what are our current reserves now?
Well, no, I mean, our current reserves, we probably around $80 million.
Those are our reserves. And so based on the expenditures and what we're projecting to bring in, we'll add 5 million on top of that, right? Is that,
If you stay the course.
if we stay the course, of course, right?
Right.
That's what we're talking about here, right? So I have a
Your
$5 million
colleague-
request.
Your colleague just dipped into it though. Eh?
Yeah, no, so I just wanted to get a good sense of where our reserves were at, so.
Yeah, I mean, the reserves, we're healthy now, right? As a lot healthier than we were probably like 5 years ago. You know, I don't know how we do it, but this city seems to rebound, you know, enormously after a dip in the recession. So, you know, as we kind of faltered, as most cities did, probably even deeper than most cities during the COVID, we probably bounced back a lot better than most cities.
Yeah.
And so our reserves are healthy. But I think what you need to still take into account is that we still have upcoming year of the 4% wage increase, right?
Sure.
And then you're going to have another 4%, right, in the following year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's some things that are coming, and you know, that's why I wanted to understand what our reserves were currently.
Right.
And so you're telling me that as it stands right now, it's $80 million.
Correct.
Okay. I really don't have too many requests. The only request that I would have is, you know, we talked about equity with our events, like at different parks, and you know, especially Bristow Park. And one of the things that we had talked about in the past was Fiestas Patrias. And so that's an event that I would really like to see come back this year if we can make it happen. Now, I understand that we do have a concerts at the park that's booked for that weekend on the 14th, right? But if we can find a way to maybe combine those events or even do Fiestas Patrias in some scale the following day, I think that's something that I would like to see personally.
Okay, I think for tonight's sake, we can approve a budget amount, and what the actual number will depend on what variation of the two programs we can do.
Sure.
So I would recommend keeping the same amount we use for Special Olympics. Because again, just talking to the city attorney, so tonight, given that there's 3 members of the city council present, you would have to vote to the recommendation made by staff and amend the recommendation by adding these items as the city council kind of goes through it with those amounts. What I would say is anything like the assistant coach, we'll bring back as a standalone item because we don't have the data to properly present that as an amendment to the resolution.
So those are my comments, right? Just advocating for that to come back.
Understood.
Mr. City Manager, sorry, City Manager, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. I just have a quick question. Are our branch libraries, are they back to regular operating hours? Our branches?
Good evening. No, they're not. They're currently open 2 days a week.
2 days a week?
One, Bristow is open Wednesday and Thursday, and Veterans is open Monday and Tuesday.
Wednesday, Thursday, Bristow.
Monday,
And-
Tuesday, Veterans.
Okay. Do we have a rough estimate of what it would look like to bring an extra day, an additional day to the branches?
So again, I think, given the discussion tonight, it'd probably be most appropriate because we also have a pretty significant capital improvement with the library, which will essentially change how we provide service.
Okay.
We bring that as a complete discussion of re-envisioning, you know, I discussed this with the librarian about what we're, I think, going to be having a discussion at the city council level is re-envisioning what the library service is in the city of Commerce, right?
Okay.
And I guess most importantly, trying to find ways to meet the new needs of the community, right? Because as technology advances and as it certainly isn't like the way it used to be. I remember, you know, I'm an old man, so when I wrote my research paper, it was literally, you know, 24 hours you spend at the library pulling books, finding papers. Now you can knock that out, you know, fairly quick. And we as a city, I think, want to be able to provide the higher level service or new way of providing services that is expectation in today's world.
Okay, so what I'm understanding is we're gonna bring that back almost as a standalone item with the re-envisioning of how we are going to deploy our services within the library services and branches?
Yes, so
Okay.
we have talked, and I have briefed them. So it's kind of like we say, hopefully we can come back and
Okay.
just kind of show you a plan.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Sederman. Thank you, Sonny.
Thank you. And so good to hear all these comments, and I know everybody wants to get back to where we were previously when it comes to programming and services, and it's good to hear each of the council members. But I believe we also have two members of the council that aren't here, and I would definitely like to hear from them and like to get their input. So I'd like to make sure that we give them that opportunity. So I'd like to continue this item to the next regularly scheduled meeting, and we can take a vote on the items that were already mentioned, and we can also see if there's any items that they would like to see. I know I personally would like to see some of the ones that were mentioned. Also, are I like some of the items that were mentioned. I too have always expressed equity in terms of us, distributing, our resources equitably to all of our different programs, not just one program or another. And I'd like to see, for me, it would probably be, making sure that we get resources into our boxing. We used to have events at Bristol Park when we used to have the Fiestas Patrias there. We used to have a scheduled event. I'd like to maybe see that coming back. I would also like to see the equity distributed to our traveling teams, making sure that they have the adequate resources and funding to be able to compete and succeed at, while they travel to other cities or other cities come to visit the City of Commerce. One of the other items I like to see is the on-ramps and off-ramps. I've had some discussion about that already, related to how important it is that people coming to see us, visit us, that's the first thing they see. I like to see how we can augment that. I believe in the past we have a contract with, I forget which ones it is, Vilco, but we have an agreement with Caltrans where there's some off-ramps that we maintain, and then on the back end we try to get reimbursement from them, I believe. Or maybe we just actually do it. But I would like to see maybe including all of our city off-ramps in a contract with them, where we can provide whether it's somebody to handle it, because just look, let's face it, Caltrans is not going to be able to handle the City of Commerce. They have so much to cover, and they're going to only do probably maybe every 3 months or so. They're going to say, we'll dedicate cleaning up one area. But I like to be a little bit more frequent with that. So I like to figure out a way where we can contract with somebody to actually work with them, and they would do the work, but we'll need to coordinate with our Sheriff's Department, with Caltrans, because they got to close off the on-ramps while the work is being performed. So I like to see what that would look like and what it would cost for us to do that. And I think that would bring, some really good-looking on-ramps and off-ramps. Every time we go to any one of these other cities, or I've been to, whether it's Irvine, whether it's a little further down south, you get on or get off, and you know what, things look really clean. And there's no reason why we couldn't have that here either. So I'd like to make sure that we look at what they're doing, that they're doing right, and we should be doing the same thing. But if it means us contracting with somebody, let's do that. I think it's well worth the investment, and I think it would beautify our community. It would go a long ways in making it look great. So I like to see something like that. But again, I'm saying that I'm not prepared to move on this at this point. I really would like to also hear from the other members of the City Council and give them an opportunity to weigh in on these discussions. I think they're significant and important to all of us, and I like to do that.
If I may, so first I recognize what you said about the on and off ramps, right? There are different models. Anytime you're dealing with Caltrans, right, you have to come up with an alternative that frankly gives the city control. It does come with a price tag, right? But certainly it's one of those issues of quality of life and what you want for this community. We'll bring back some options related to that. Is there anything in here that's a timely issue with regards to approving it tonight?
Well, my preference would be is staff's recommendation, right? So we have the appropriations that are set in place. It gets carried into the next year's budget, and everything that City Council commented or their wish list, that come back at a later date. We can either do it, incrementally, or we can do it all at one time. But if we can just get City Council concurrence on staff's recommendations, so we do have a budget in place for July 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, we could
I'm
do
okay
that.
with moving with staff's recommendation, but I really would like for the other two that aren't here to weigh in. We've heard already some of the comments, some of the things we'd like to do, and I think it's a good start, but I'd like to give them the opportunity. So let's bring it back next week. I'm okay with moving and approving
Okay.
staff's recommendation of the status quo. And then, at the next meeting, we can then go ahead and add these items and prepare appropriate budgets for each of these. That way, as we vote on these, we know exactly what we're voting on as well, and the associated costs with them.
Okay, I
Sound
appreciate
good?
that. There is some significance to approving the budget on time, so I appreciate that. And then you're right, it will give us time to vet some of these proposals, and I can include things like personnel that are brought up. And I think to assist the process, I can reach out to your colleagues, brief them about what happened tonight, and then already come with some prepared numbers if they do or don't have specific programs they would like to see.
And the library, can we also get us up to date on that? Because I believe that we extended the hours, we approved some positions, and I believe those positions were filled. Is that correct or not?
It should be yes.
The ones that you had approved, the part-time librarian started last week, and the full-time librarian, we just concluded the interviews yesterday. So hopefully we'll get them on board soon. So for
Okay.
the part-time and the full-time librarian.
Okay, and will that help with the additional hours that we may be wanting to increase at the,
It helped for the Saturday hours, which is the reason that the part-time librarian. But once we look at the plan to see what other positions will be needed for the other two branches and
Okay.
for the future Bandini neighborhood.
okay,
Library.
yeah, yeah. And also we need to get an update on the whole Bandini
Learning Center?
project, when it's gonna start, when it's gonna be completed, that sort of thing.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Member of City Council, essentially that is the trigger point with regards to, as the librarian and I discussed, the re-envisioning of the services, and, but that being the catalyst as to why we're going to have that discussion.
Sure. All right, thank you all,
Thank you.
appreciate your time, and at this time, we'll go ahead and I'll entertain a motion as I previously stated, which would be the staff recommendation. And let me read it. Approve the adopted proposed resolution authorizing the continuing operations into fiscal year 2024-25 and fiscal year, at fiscal year 2023-24 amended appropriation levels with adjustments for needed items and contractually required increases and/or decreases, and assign the number next in order. Is that correct? Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yes, Mayor.
All right, so a motion would be in order to, on the recommendation.
Mayor, I'll move to approve for staff's recommendation as long as we get the opportunity to amend the budget at the next meeting with the input of the Vice Mayor and Councilwoman Garcia.
I'd second.
We have a motion and a second, and so ordered as if there's no objections. Thank you. All right, we'll move to item number 18. And this would be a second reading of ordinance amending chapter 5.10, use and sale of safe and sane fireworks of Title 5 and Title 16 of the Commerce Municipal Code by adding a new chapter 16.05, prohibiting the possession, sale, and/or discharge of dangerous fireworks and established penalties. Second reading. Lina.
Mr. Mayor, this is a second reading of the ordinance, and the first reading was unanimously adopted at June 11th meeting, and we had no opposition from residents or anybody, and staff recommend approval and adoption of the ordinance at this meeting.
Great, thank you. Do you need a roll call on this, or are we okay to just approve by the majority?
I think we're okay to approve it, and I will read the title.
Okay, great. Motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and if there's no objection, the motion is approved. Lena?
The ordinance of the City Council of the City of Commerce, California, amending Chapter 5.10, use and sale of safe and sane fireworks of Title 5, business regulation and licenses, and Title 16, fire prevention of the Commerce Municipal Code, by adding a new Chapter 16.05 to prohibit the possession, sale, and/or discharge of dangerous fireworks and establish penalties.
Thank you, Lena. Oh. All right. I think that concludes our agenda. At this time, we'll move to council reports. Start with Councilmember Ines, please.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, I want to express my deepest condolences to the Papayan family. Unfortunately, Jake Papayan Jr. passed away a few days ago, and so I just want to express my deepest sympathies to their family and thank them for everything that Hague did for our community in propelling the casino forward and making it the institution that it is, and obviously being very community focused and giving back to the city of Commerce. There's so much that the casino does for our city, and Hague Papayan was a very key reason for that. So definitely wanted to express my condolences and deepest sympathies there. I wanted to report that I attended the NALEO conference in Las Vegas last week. A couple of the sessions that I attended, which I felt were relevant to our city, were funding strategies for housing developments. So we can talk to our city manager about that shortly, and also how AI can kind of supplement operations here at City Hall. But it was a great conference, very informative. Good to see all of our colleagues there, and so. That's one thing that I went to last week. Yesterday, I attended the Gateway Council of Governments meeting, and I was actually voted in as the second vice president of that body yesterday. So we do want to thank Councilman Frank Garcia from the city of Maywood for appointing me, as well as my colleagues at the COG for voting me in. Apart from that, I just want to wish the community a happy 4th of July, and hopefully I see everybody there on Saturday for our Independence Day celebration. That's all I have to report, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Rebollo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't sound redundant, but I was also at the NALEO conference and attended the sessions with Councilmember Lainez. It's always really good to network with community leaders locally and abroad from other states, and kind of talk about different policies that affect the different states. So that was really really enriching. Again, as was stated, I hope to see everybody at the 4th of July celebration on Saturday. We have a few rides back, so I know the community has been asking for rides, so there are a few attractions. So make sure you go to Parks and Rec to buy the wristbands for the kids. And as was expressed, my deepest condolences to the Papayan family, to Hague's wife. Hague, I met him in 2015 when I got elected, and throughout my tenure here on the city council, I was able to maintain such a wonderful relationship with him. As I learned the history of the Commerce Casino, I just really admired the way he continued to keep the legacy of philanthropy that was started by Mr. T, then went on through his dad, and then now that went through Hague. And it's such a deep loss, and it definitely is a loss that's going to be felt. He was such I don't know of the word, like, he was such a human. There's such a human aspect to the way he led and how he treated his employees. And like seeing all the different comments from the different people that work at the Commerce Casino was a true testament to who he was. He was this man who would sit, in the back with the baseball hat on, and you wouldn't know that, he was one of the most powerful men at the Commerce Casino. And that's the way he liked it, right? He liked to stay in the background. And he wanted to make sure that the casino got the credit for everything that went on. And such a great loss. It's definitely a sad season for a lot of us, and for the city of Commerce. We'll definitely feel the loss, but we trust that the Commerce Casino will continue to keep the legacy of philanthropy that has been set forth by him and by his predecessors. So our deepest condolences, and please continue to keep his family in your prayers. And thank you to everyone that's here tonight, and we hope to see all of you on Saturday. God bless everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rebollo. And of course, I'm not going to be redundant, but yeah, likewise, I had the opportunity to work. As many of you know, I was elected back in November of 1996, a couple of years ago. And I knew Hague, I knew Mr. George Demajian. I've had the opportunity to work with many of them through the collaboration and work with all of them. They've always been wonderful to the City of Commerce, very generous, but in particular, Mr. Papayan, I know I had a conversation with him related to the senior breakfast that is being enjoyed every other week now. And that was through a conversation we had. He then established it. There was, some of you may or may not know, but there was a little bit of a discussion related to the Citadel expansion project back then. They initially were proposing to do 2 hotels, and there a little bit of a of a rivalry began there with the casino and the Citadel at the time, because obviously the casino just had recently put a hotel there, and they viewed it as, hey, this is going to affect our operations here. And anyways, bottom line is, in some discussions, I said, look, at the end of the day, you guys need to work together, collaborate, and work together. I think working together, you can come up with doing better things, bigger things for not only for yourselves, but for the city. And there came a collaboration, and now we will be soon opening up the In-N-Out on the corner of Telegraph and Washington. We'll also have Chick-fil-A, and already I believe there's still some discussions related to a potential Starbucks there in addition to that, and other things in the future which haven't been quite settled yet. But in addition, the other conversation we had was related to the scholarship program that we now enjoy. Many years ago, I had said that, one, we moved it from where it was before, which was under the Social Services Department, and we moved it over to the library. I just thought it would be the more fitting place for our scholarship program to be managed under. And it was most definitely, I think, the right decision. Right after we moved it, I just grabbed the number out of the air and said, we're going to raise $100,000. And of course, people thought I was crazy or maybe not thinking properly, but they were like, wait a minute, the most amount of money we've ever raised was $24,000. And I go, yeah, you're right. And, all I said was to some of the folks I talked to, I says, yeah, that's right, because we already set a limit, and therefore we're limited. And bottom line is I grabbed the number out of the air, and we embarked on a mission to generate $100,000. And, bottom line is we didn't quite reach that, but bottom line, the first time through the commitment of the Commerce Casino and their leadership, we were able to, the first time they donated $100,000 toward this program. And shortly thereafter, then they made the commitment of each year donating each year, and they capped it at $50,000 each year, which has been phenomenal for helping a lot of our youth here in our community. But I just want to tell you this and share this with you because Hague was a big part of that, and I just want to thank him for the leadership that he's provided to our city, to the Commerce Casino and to by extension to our city, and just the generosity that they've always been there for us. So our sincere condolences to his wife and the entire family on this very, very, important loss to the Commerce Casino. And he was very, very instrumental in a lot of the issues in Sacramento that many of you never saw, because he was always working with a lot of the electeds over there, making sure that we had the support that we needed on issues that would have an impact on our gaming industry. So he was very active and very involved in a lot of that. So again, we want to thank his entire family. We want to thank him for all his great work at the Commerce Casino. Thank you, and once again, our sincere condolences to his wife and the entire family. The NALEO conference, again, enjoyed working and seeing my colleagues there at the different sessions that we attended. It was also, I enjoyed the luncheon with our Congressman Robert Garcia, who moderated a discussion on the border issue that we're having, of course. And that was an interesting conversation and topic to have, and everybody was pretty engaged in that whole discussion. So we look forward to obviously November, because I think we'll be seeing, depending on how that turns out, I think we'll be seeing some significant changes there. But all in all, it was a very interesting, great discussion, and it was good to have our congressman there that represents our city as the moderator for that discussion. And again, I believe that concludes my discussion. Let me see. I did attend the Street Racing Kills presentation that was held over at the Teen Center. I thought it was great. The speaker that they had was wow, unbelievable! What a speaker! He really made a great presentation. I wasn't expecting what I was about to hear, because I hadn't seen it before. But we had a young individual who had a promising career in front of him in his future, and it was in baseball, playing baseball, and he was ready to head off to college, and he takes out his son, his younger brother, for a ride, and makes one bad decision, and that was, hey, I've got this car that I spent all this money on, beefing it up, and let me see what it can do. And before you know it, he's going down the road and does 130 miles per hour. Next thing you know, a car comes out, and he T-bones the car, he kills the people, and he was charged for that. And it just changed his entire life, his career. His brother almost died. The other people, I believe it was two of them, I think, in the other vehicle, he killed both of them, and he ended up serving time, and it just changed his entire life. And now he basically dedicates himself to speaking and trying to help others by telling this story. Thank you, Justin. Thank you to our Sheriff's Department. We had two deputies that were there for that presentation. Appreciate that. And all of our teams who benefited, I think, from the presentation. Other than that, I would like to wish everybody a happy 4th of July, and hope to see you all at our 4th of July celebration here at Rosewood Park. So thank you. That concludes my report, and thank you all for being out here this evening, and we'll see you at our next meeting. Thank you. We are now adjourned.